Hi everyone, it's Nicole, and today I'm bringing you a recommendations video. So today I'm doing another installment of my series on my channel called Who Picked These Recs, where I pick a trope or genre of books and I recommend some to you within those tropes or genres. Or you can give me tropes and or genres. If you want me to recommend books to you from a particular trope or genre, definitely leave it in the comments. I will get to it, I promise. I will leave the link for the Who Picked These Recs playlist in the description box for you, so you can go back and see other genres that I recommended books from. But today we are doing, if you couldn't tell by my ensemble here, we are doing Christmas themed books. I have one cozy mystery series and the rest are romances, so I'm just going to do the cozy mystery series first. And if you have watched my channel for any length of time, I think you know exactly which cozy series I am talking about. And that is the Christmas Tree Farm series by Jacqueline Frost, aka Julianne Lindsey. We call her the cozy queen around here because she is very prolific in that genre. She also writes romantic suspense, but she writes a lot of cozies as well. In fact, she just published her 50th book on the 15th, so that's pretty amazing. 50 books is a lot. So in the Christmas Tree Farm series, we have the first book here, 12 Sleighs of Christmas. Then the second book is 'Twas the Knife Before Christmas. And then the third book, which just came out this year, is Slashing Through the Snow. I just love the punny titles of cozy mysteries. I think they are just a hoot. I love them so much. I'm just gonna hold up the first book because 3 hardbacks, I mean, it gets pretty heavy to hold it up. But in this cozy mystery series, our main character, her name is Holly. She comes back to Mistletoe, Maine, which is where she was born, after her fiance cancels their Christmas Eve wedding. And I believe it's only like a couple of days before Christmas Eve. So it's like he canceled it at the worst possible time. She moves back in with her mom and dad, who own a Christmas tree farm. Isn't that so adorable? And she's basically helping out anywhere she can. They also have a cafe called The Hearth on the property. So she's there, you know, delivering orders, you know, whatever she can do to be of help to her parents. So Holly is there one day serving orders at her parents' cafe when a woman comes in, causing all kinds of ruckus, saying things aren't up to code. And this woman even goes after Holly's dad. His name is Bud. He kind of looks like the brawny paper towel guy. But yeah, so goes up to him and says, your fence isn't up to code. You need to redo it, blah, 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 blah. He basically says, I can't redo the fence because it needs to be a certain height because they have animals. So he's basically like, I'm happy to pay the fine, but I need to protect my animals kind of thing. So she leaves in a huff. Bud goes after her to apologize, and Holly soon follows after. I keep saying that person because I could not remember her name, but I think it's Margaret. It's Margaret. So she goes out looking for Margaret and her dad, but she can't find them anywhere. So she looks around, but she finally does find Margaret's dead body. And so the local sheriff comes to investigate. So basically all the evidence is pointing to her father, Bud, because he was recently seen having an altercation with this woman. She was found dead on his property, and the murder weapon that was used was also like a candy cane stake that they used to mark the trees. So all the evidence is stacking up against Bud. Holly obviously doesn't want her father to go to jail. There's no way that her father could have done this. So she takes it upon herself to sleuth to find the real killer. Of course, if you read any kind of cozy mysteries, you know that along the way, as she's sleuthing, asking about town, about what happened to poor Margaret, she gets threats and her life is in danger because the killer is basically telling her to stop investigating, Bud out. So yeah, eventually Holly is the one in the killer's crosshairs. And that's kind of like any kind of formulaic cozy mystery. That's what you're going to run into. But that is basically what this series is about. In every book, each murder is wrapped up, and then in the next book, you get a new murder. So like I said, there are 3 books currently out right now. They're really great. They are available on my Hoopla as audiobooks and as ebooks. So if you have Hoopla, please go check that out. You can read it from your digital library. So now that I talked about the cozy mysteries, I'm going to go into the romance section of this recommendations video. And the first book that I'm going to talk about is Mistletoe Blues by Bella J. This book was released this year and it was so good. I read it for Hoathon. So I will link the vlog in which I talk about it in the cards and in the description box for you, so if you want to go check that out. But in this book, we have our main character. Her name is Joey, and she works in a department store in this mall, and she has a crush on the new Santa. So there is a nice man who comes dressed up as Santa Claus for the little kids. And he just seems like a really nice guy. They hit it off really great. There's a mutual attraction, but she really doesn't know him outside of the whole Santa gig. She really doesn't even know what this man looks like. He's always comes dressed as Santa to the nines. So one day she's talking to her sisters about this, and her sisters basically have this thing where every Christmas one of them dares another one to do something outlandish. And so they dare her sit on Santa's lap and say all you want for Christmas is to slide down his North Pole. Before Santa could get a word in edgewise, she runs off, but Santa is very intrigued. Santa, as we've said, mutual attraction, but she runs off before he can say anything. So our mall Santa, his name is Blue. And he does this as a side job, but he is a full-time kindergarten teacher. I think that's so adorable. And he also helps out as a bartender in this bar. He's thinking about her and what she said, and he just cannot get her off of his mind. And he thinks it's just a Christmas miracle when she walks into his bar that he's bartending at. So she's there trying to meet up with her sisters, but they all kind of bail. They're just like, something came up. We can't make it, but have fun without us kind of thing. So she comes up to the bar, he makes her a drink. He knows immediately that it's her, but like I said in the beginning, she doesn't really know what he looks like because he always has like the Santa garb on. So he eventually confesses that, yes, it's me. I play the mall Santa. My name is Blue. And they kind of just like have a date. You know, he gets off of work and she's about to call it a night and say, hey, my sister's bailed on me. I'm just going to go home. And he was just like, why don't you hang out with me? The bars around the area are doing like this Christmas scavenger hunt bar crawl, and we can participate in it, and there's a pretty great prize. And so they end up doing that for the rest of the night, and sparks are just flying. Chemistry is just pouring off the pages. And they're just so adorable. And this one was really sweet. I really enjoyed it. Super cute and super steamy. The next book I want to recommend is Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. So in this book, we have our main character. Her name is Stella, and she was recently released from prison. She was convicted of armed robbery, so she did her time. She's released, and she is kind of having a hard time getting a job. You know, when she fills out those applications and she has to mark the box if she's a convicted felon, you know what employers do. They just kind of throw your application away and never think twice about you. So she's having a pretty tough go at it. So she's walking down Fifth Avenue and she sees this window display for Viviant. This is kind of like the really high-end department store on Fifth Avenue. And she's just thinking how not good this window display looks. It's not making her want to go in and shop at all, which is kind of the point of a window display. And that's what she went to school for. She went to school to do this professionally. She only got 3 years in. She didn't get her full degree, but she knows. She knows. She has a good eye. She's an artist. And she's not feeling it. And so this man asks her, like, what do you think of the window display? And she's never one to beat around the bush. She tells him straight out, like, it's terrible. No one's going to come in and buy anything out of this store with this window display. And he's like, I kind of know that they are looking for someone, a new person to do the window displays. So he kind of suggests, like, you should definitely fill out an application. She kind of hems and haws, and she was like, no, I can't, I'm a convicted felon. They really wouldn't take me at this kind of high-end department store. And he's kind of like, I have it on good authority that they might. Turns out that he is the general manager and controlling interest owner of Viviant. So she does eventually fill out an application, and he's searching for it, and his coworker is kind of like, yeah, we had a convicted felon apply, but I just kind of threw that away. So he's just thinking, wait, there's really no reason for me to call Stella in and have an interview, especially when she is marked that she's a convicted felon. The higher-ups wouldn't really like that. And really the only reason that I want to bring her in and have an interview is because I want to get to know her more, because I'm really attracted to her. And so he has the brilliant idea to just kind of give everybody who applied an interview. 50 interviews or so later, he is realizing what a terrible idea that was. She does end up coming in for an interview, and after some convincing on Aiden's part, she agrees to come and work for them on a trial basis, and if the higher-ups like her window display, she'll get hired on full time. Aiden's like, finally, I have her within my sights. She's working. I get to see her every day. But there is a no fraternization policy between managers and employees. There is a way for them to date, but they would have to sign some paperwork with HR, and he would have to convince her to sign these forms. But really, as of right now, he is just glad that he has her in the store and gets to see her every day. And this was just like a really, really cute Grumpy Sunshine, where the Sunshine is the male character and the Grumpy is the female character. And I really like that. It's kind of flipped, because you read a lot where the Grumpy is the male character and the Sunshine is the female character. So I like that it was kind of flipped like that. Aiden and Stella are just so, so cute. Again, their chemistry and their attraction just flies off the page, sparks fly. And there's an issue that happens in this book. I'm not going to go into it because of spoilers, but Aiden really does go to bat for Stella, and I really respect him for that. The next book I want to recommend is The Lights on Knockbridge Lane by Roan Parrish. This is a men-loving-men romance, and our main character, his name is Adam, and he moves back to Garnet Run with his adoptive daughter, Gus, after a particularly messy breakup with his partner, when his partner said that he doesn't want to be in the relationship anymore and doesn't want to be a father to Gus anymore. So that's kind of hard for a little girl to hear, especially around Christmas time. So all Adam really wants to do is to give Gus anything she wants for Christmas, to kind of just give her this one special day. So when she thinks back on it, she's not remembering that she was abandoned, that she had the best Christmas ever in spite of everything. So her one Christmas wish is to have the most Christmas lights in the history of ever. So Adam, being the great dad that he is, he's like, you know what? I am going to move mountains to make this happen. And that includes accepting help from their reclusive neighbor, Wes. And this is after Gus breaks into his basement to see all like the bugs and insects and snakes that he has, because Gus is really into that kind of stuff. So she just wanted to see, so she does what any precocious little girl does and breaks into the basement. It's so funny because Adam is actually terrified of tarantulas and snakes and really everything that Wes has in his house. And it is so funny. Their banter, those scenes where Adam has to interact with these animals because all Gus wants to do is hang out with them and hold them. Oh my gosh, it's so freaking funny. And for Wes, being around, you know, that cute little girl and Adam's antics, he even starts coming out of his shell a little bit, and he used to never come out in the light of day on Garnet Run, and now he's coming out, he's interacting with people, and that's kind of like a big step for him. So really everyone is experiencing some sort of Christmas miracle, and it's just really, really adorable. I really loved it. Also kind of a Grumpy Sunshine, single parent romance, super, super cute. I really, really enjoyed it. The next book I want to recommend is Bad Santa by Kiru Tai. This is like a prequel novella to her series. I think it's called The Enders. But in this book, we have kind of like a cartel boss. His name is Osage Peters. And he finds out that he has been robbed. A thief took somewhere around like $50,000, and he is looking for swift retribution. So he gets to the bottom of whoever stole the money, and he has pictures of them and their families. And when he sees a picture of the thief's sister, things get a little bit more complicated than just getting swift retribution, because if Osage kills the thief, there's no way that her sister is going to want to be in the relationship with this guy, right? So he's like, I gotta go at this a little bit more delicately. I have the best idea ever. I'm going to kidnap the sister. Her name is Gina. He's like doing some reconnaissance. She's running in this park, and they run into each other. It's kind of like a mutual attraction. She's attracted to him, kind of like a silver fox. So after that brief interaction, he's just like, that's kind of sealed the deal for me. I need to kidnap her. So he does. And he takes her back to his house. And really the only rules is that you can't leave. He really lavishes her, you know, with everything. Lets her work on her computer, lets her have her phone in his presence, of course. And really, the more time they spend together, Gina figures out that he's actually a pretty nice guy. He's tough but fair. So I really did enjoy this one. It's a little bit on the darker side of the romances that I'm recommending, but it's such a great time. I really, really enjoyed it. The next book I want to recommend is Krampus and the Crone by Honey Phillips. We have our main character, her name is JL, and she kind of is ostracized by this village that she lives in on this planet, and she disguises herself as a witch and sells some herbal remedies to kind of make a living. So when she goes into town, she's disguised as the Crone. One day, when she hears that children are disappearing from the village, she kind of takes it upon herself to investigate, see what's going on. But she really finds a lot more than she's bargained for. And that brings us to our second main character. His name is Krampus, and he has crash landed on this planet, and he works day and night to kind of get his ship back up and running so he can get back to his home planet. So he has these little devices, they're like robots, but they look like birds, which he kind of sets loose to kind of survey the area to make sure that no one is happening upon his spacecraft while he's away, you know, trying to get things to fix his ship with. And he sees JL, and she's disguised as the Crone, and he sees the villagers kind of treat her very poorly. And when she comes home and she takes off her disguise, he is kind of like astonished that she's this beautiful woman and not this Crone that she dresses up as. And you find out when JL happens upon his ship, when she's looking for the missing children, that he's actually responsible for the missing children. But it's because these children are orphans, and the people that are supposed to be looking out for them are not doing a very good job. So he takes them thinking that he can do a much better job. And JL realizes that the children aren't there against their will. They're actually very happy where they're at. And the more time she spends with Krampus, because she's actually convalescing when she was out, you know, looking around the forest and stuff, she hurt her ankle. And so he's nursing her back to health. And at that time where she's convalescing, they're getting to know each other. Sparks are flying. It's very cute romance. I really loved it. The second book in the series actually came out this year, and I had no idea that there was going to be a second book, and I'm super excited. The next book I want to recommend is Touch of Sugar by Christina C. Jones. This is book number 3 in the Sweet Heat series. I don't believe you have to read the other 2 books to enjoy this one, but if you want to, they're novellas. They're not very long. You can read the whole series, but this is just the Christmas themed one. So when this book starts off, we have our main character, Prue. She is drunk, cursing her ex, saying she's going to go chop down a real Christmas tree because she wants a real Christmas tree. Only to pass out in her car, which is good because you shouldn't be driving anywhere drunk. But when she comes to, she's sober enough, she still has the plan to go get a Christmas tree. So she drives off and she finds the perfect Christmas tree. So she pulls off to the side of the road and proceeds to try to cut down this tree. Too bad she's on private property and the owner is right behind her. He is mad as all get out. He's like, what are you doing? This is my tree. You're on private property. Also, what are you doing outside? There's a blizzard coming. And so he tosses her over his shoulder and goes to his house. She is carrying on, kicking and screaming because she thinks she's getting kidnapped by an axe murderer when she's the one that has the axe. And when he finally gets her into the house, takes off his ski mask and beanie and protective gear from the blizzard that's going on outside, she realizes that they know each other. And of course, they're attracted to each other. And that is just super convenient because once the blizzard hits, they can't go anywhere. So it's kind of like a forced proximity. They're snowed in at Christmas and they just have all the time in the world to explore this attraction between the two of them. And he has a dog named Mistletoe, and I just think that's super adorable. And the last book I want to recommend is The Naughty List by Ellie Mae McGregor. In this book, our main character, Kate, she is not feeling the Christmas spirit at all. She recently divorced from her husband. She is very lonely on this Christmas because her husband has taking the kids and taking them on a cruise. So she's basically all by herself. She's drinking some wine and she falls asleep on the couch. But sometime in the night, she is awakened by some noises. So she goes to investigate and she sees someone who looks exactly like Santa. Almost exactly like. He has the white hair, the beard, but it's kind of like a close-cropped beard. And he has the red suit, of course, but that's kind of where the similarities end. He's tattooed, he's buff, he also has some piercings, and Kate thinks this is some wine-induced sexy Christmas dream that she's having, but Nikolai shows her that he is all too real and more than willing to fulfill her every dirty Christmas fantasy. So that's it. Those are all the books that I wanted to recommend to you. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and like them. And also let me know if you want me to recommend from a certain trope or genre. I would love to do that for you. Go ahead and like my video if you did. Comment below and subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on all the social media platforms. The links will be in the description box below. We'll see you next time, avid readers.